First off, congratulations for being the new voice of New Japan Pro Wrestling on Access. I know fans are stoked to hear you back on a weekly basis. How did the deal come about?
Well, I guess when Mauro Ranello informed Access that he was going to take the SmackDown gig at WWE, and I'm under the mindset that was in November, because that's when we started talking to Access. They reached out to my business manager, Barry Bloom, and so at that point the discussions about me going there ensued. It was, we talked, I guess, you don't get much done in December in the entertainment world, so we finalized the deal. Oh, heck, I don't remember the date, but nonetheless it was, in January, obviously, and so it was a good opportunity. Mauro did a great job there, and he's doing a great job in WWE. I thought that it was I watched the show. I'm a fan of the broadcast with Mauro and Josh Barnett, so I was very familiar with the process. So I was. That's kind of how it started. They reached out to my business manager, and the dialogue produced fruit, as they say.
Yeah, and you called Wrestle Kingdom 9 last year, and I thought it was fantastic. Have you been keeping up with the New Japan Pro Wrestling product since that time?
Yeah, as I have. I certainly not as aggressive as I was when I was preparing to broadcast their big event there in 2015. But as a more than casual fan, I would say, I follow what's going on, and I read about them online, and I watch some stuff on TV on my computer. Actually, I don't subscribe to the New Japan World digital channel, and one of the significant reasons is that I don't understand Japanese, and they don't have a English-speaking sign-up page.
So, yeah, they make it really difficult to sign up if you're if you don't know Japanese.
Right, and I have my issues, Raj, with English, much less attempt to be bilingual, and that second language being Japanese. So, but yeah, I got to understand and study and really prepare for Wrestle Kingdom 9. I'm glad it was people liked it, and you always have that doubt in the back of your mind. Okay, you've been away from what the game, so is your timing going to be way off, or you gonna have the same passion to get emotionally invested in the broadcast. So it was fun for many reasons to go to Japan, and I got to see and meet the talents, and watch them call their match a live match. At ringside was really it's about the best relationship builder that you can have is when you can sit and call a talents match, and especially there, because I had no idea. I don't think any of us did. I don't think Stryker did either. We had no idea what was going down. We just sat down and called like we would a legitimate sporting event, and I find that to be very stimulating.
Yeah, and this deal is completely with Access, right? It's not anything with New Japan.
No, I'll put it this way. New Japan is on board with my hiring, and New Japan is happy that I'm affiliated with their product via Access. And they were involved once I think Access made their decision. I think they collaborated or conversed with New Japan, but I'm being paid by Access, and I am. But I think because of the relationship between Access and New Japan, that they're certainly on the same page. In other words, I don't think that it was good business that Access would have hired me, then the word would have filtered back to New Japan. Oh, by the way, and that would not be a very good way of doing business. So I don't know exactly what everybody's. I've been asked this question by everybody that's interviewed me. I'm not sure what everybody's looking for about the New Japan thing. I don't know what the correlation of who I'm getting paid by or whatever, but New Japan, TVSI, and Access they all have a positive relationship.
Yeah,
And I think that keeping everybody informed is probably just good business. But the bottom line, at the end of the day, my contract is with Access TV, and I'm being paid by Mark Cuban's company, and so that's how that shook out. And I'm not sure what we're looking for in that question, but that's the answer.
Well, I think what a lot of people are curious about is this something that could open the doors to calling other New Japan Pro Wrestling live events and pay-per-views as well?
Well, then they should ask that question, right?
Right.
Instead of beating around the bush and maybe, well, you think maybe, but seriously, I don't know. It possibly. I've learned in this business after 40 plus years, you just, you're really foolish to never, you have to never say never. I don't know where that's going to go. I know that there's been casual conversation about it, but nothing serious. So, I can't speak for Josh Barnett, but as far as I'm concerned, I would be very interested in traveling to Japan and doing some work. But we'll see how that goes. They got Kevin Kelly and Matt Stryker doing it, and I'm sure they're doing an outstanding job. So it's one of those deals where the job isn't really open. So to dress it really just adds fuel to speculation. Mm-hmm. It's good for clicks, good for dirt, but it really is, it's not really anything there. But yeah, there's been a casual conversation, and I don't have any idea where it's going to go because I'm not really involved in that. I'm not involved in that'd be an access deal with TVSI and New Japan. That would be those three entities creating an opportunity or deciding they're going to enlarge the footprint of building the New Japan brand in North America. I'm not in that discussion. I'm not in that loop. They all know that I'm interested, and I'm a team player, always have been. So if a deal is struck that requires me to be in Japan to do some broadcasting, then my passport's up to date, and I'm ready to roll.
Yeah. Have you heard of? Do you know if there'll be any other changes to the show once it starts back up in March?
I'm not aware of any significant changes, and I do know that at some point Access is motivated to get the shows more current, but I don't know where they are with that discussion. Mm-hmm. And I don't know where the other side of the equation, the TVSI and New Japan, I don't know where they are, and from a production standpoint and all the things that it would take man hours and infrastructure to facilitate that. But it's obvious that even I think all parties involved would like to be more current. But I think that part of the issue is it takes a while to turn those shows around to make them production ready to voice them over here in the States. So it's not like you can wave a magic wand or flip a switch or just send a tape. There's preparation involved and editing involved and things of that nature that just and then you wanted to have several shows prepared to voice over in a couple-day session. So it's easier said than done in that respect. But I do know that their goal is to get more current. If and when that happens, still remains to be seen.
Yeah, and I know Josh Barnett had been busy, up until last weekend with preparing for the fight with Ben Rothwell. Have you gotten a chance to talk to him much since the announcement was made?
Yeah, we've had 2 or 3 conversations. We've known each other for years, so it's not like we're strangers. And he's very familiar with my work, and I'm very familiar with his. And I think it's going to be has a chance to be a very solid team. And I hope that we exceed solid and go elevate those aspirations. But we talk, and we're on the same page. We're ready to roll. I'll get into L.A. a day early next week, and we'll spend some time together. Then the next day we'll knock out 3 shows or so. Then we can reevaluate that, and then the next day we'll knock out 3 or 4 more shows. And so we're going to spend a lot of time together, and we don't have a gun to our head. We don't have we got to get this done in 48 minutes. That's what's nice about getting into a post-produced session with new audio guys, new everybody, that we have a net. So that means that we have no excuse also, but the first show should be very good.
Right. And you mentioned Morrow signing with WWE. Were you surprised about the signing, not from a talent perspective, obviously, but just from what WWE kind of wants from their announcers nowadays? Were you surprised that that they would find Morrow to be a fit?
Well, they haven't been looking for 40-year-olds in the past.
Right.
So, yeah, from that regard, I thought it was probably as strategic a hire that WWE's made in a good while. I thought it was a very smart hire, and I think it's, you can hear how smart it was if you watch and listen to SmackDown. It's just he's a fresh voice there that has added a lot of energy to the presentation. So it's a good hire. But yeah, I was a little bit surprised because Morrow did not fit their heretofore in recent years a typical description of a WWE broadcaster, someone new.
Right.
But it's a good hire. It's a good hire, and he's going to do a great job for him. I'm happy for him because it's the nice thing about he's got even though he had great profile gigs and has done some really cool things, the Mayweather stuff and all that people have talked about, you're still a freelancer. And you're still picking gigs here to gig there, and you hope that you get 2 or 3 this month, and you increase your paydays or whatever. It's still kind of a unique existence, and I think that the fact that he's got a regular paycheck coming in, and he can still go out and do his freelance work with boxing and MMA, it's the best of all worlds. So. Good things happen to good people, and Morrow's a real good guy, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah, it seems like right now, outside of SmackDown, since Morrow joined, there's been a lot of criticism regarding the state of wrestling commentary these days. Do you think a lot of that's justified, or do you think it's the IWC just complaining, or is the commentary kind of hurting the product right now?
Well, to be honest with you, I haven't read a lot of editorial or a lot of things on that you're mentioning about the commentary in general, the negative comments. I can tell you that it's a very challenging job in as much as, especially in WWE, because they have so many masters. In other words, they have so many different platforms that they have to create awareness for on, say, Monday Night Raw in that 3-hour time period. And it's not like it was in the old days where your focal point was what the fans were seeing bell to bell. And I think there's a certain segment of the audience that would like to see it go back to that. So sell me all your stuff, but don't do it bell to bell. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of the bottom line of the whole deal. Could you just focus on from bell to bell the talent, what they're doing, why they're doing it, what it means in the big picture, what it means as far as WrestleMania, for example, is concerned, and focus on that, and then away from bell to bell, then promote all you want. Tell me what's trending and what's this and what's that and all that. What's going on in WWE shop or wherever. That might be something that people I think have on their bucket list. But it's a tough job. It's a tough job because the other aspect is that you have a lot of talents that are working very, very quick. So there's not much time to react or tell their story, because they don't have time to sell. So selling eliminates a great part of broadcasting. The shorter the sells, the less the broadcasters can put the talent over.
Right. It just seems like. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I just think that there are things that affect today's broadcasters from doing the job that maybe is more popular to most fans, and a lot of it is beyond their control. How they're produced, how the marching orders that they're given, the fact that the talents are working faster pace, so it's hard to slow down and tell that story. So the product in the ring and their marching orders and how to present the thing really makes it challenging. I'm happy that I'm going to an organization that is going to let me call wrestling, because that's the focal point, is the match.
Right.
These matches we're calling are going to be evergreen, so they could be called. You could pull them out of your library any time and watch it. So I'm not going to be talking about what happened last week or what's going to come up next week, because that's not what we're instructed to do. So we get to focus on the game, the bell-to-bell, the play-by-play of what the strategy, the reward and the risk and all that stuff of what's going on in the ring. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to that. That's a good thing I think that fits my wheelhouse. I'm not sure. Well, no, maybe I don't have it anymore. Maybe my tank is not as full as I hope it will be. But we'll find out March 4th, and go, and then let the cards fall where they may.
Yeah, I know myself personally, because I watch the show all the time, so I'm really looking forward to it. And I wanted to ask you about WWE signing AJ Styles, Nakamura, Doc Gallows, and Carl Anderson. Were you surprised by that signing?
No, I wasn't at all, because when I got back last year from Wrestle Kingdom 9, I mentioned to both Vince and to Paul Levesque that my experience and my trip and what I saw. And I always been high on AJ Styles. I had him on my podcast, and I discovered that I had a chance to hire him when he was like a rookie. He just got started in the WCW when they went out of business.
Right.
But he didn't make the cut because, and it was honest with you, I don't think I ever saw him. So, but anyway, it's a funny story. He seems to be fine about that. But I've always enjoyed his work, and he's a great kid, a good family man, and kind of guy you want in your locker room. He's got maturity and he's got character. Notwithstanding the fact he's a great in-ring talent. But the one that I came back raving about was Nakamura, because I felt like he had as much natural charisma, and he had uncanny timing. And he did share those traits with AJ. AJ's timing and athleticism and his agility has a lot of Shawn Michaels' traits. And as much as he's effortlessly moving, he's smooth. He's got the second gear pronounced. He has speed, and he has really great instincts. Mm-hmm. And Shawn had all those things in spades. So AJ's right in that conversation of the instinct side, so I thought he could be really good, and I found out that over the years that people that say, well, this guy's too small, they really probably have never had their ass whipped by a smaller guy,
right?
And or they haven't spent much time on a college campus that has a division or a good wrestling program, because the one thing you find out that on campus is that even the big football players, the D linemen, don't want to screw around with a 160-pound wrestler. Mm-hmm. It's just not a good exchange.
Right.
And the big guys will get humiliated more often than not. So, but AJ was I thought really good, and should have been there before that, before he got hired. But Nakamura was the one that I sang his praises the loudest, more than to be honest about it, and because he was so unique. Gallows and Anderson are an excellent team, but they're not a new team. They're not a team that people haven't seen something like them before.
Right.
And that's not saying they're not going to come in WWE and make an impact. They can. Mm-hmm. AJ has a chance, if he stays healthy, to be a main event level talent in WWE for a few more years anyway, depending on when his bump card expires. Mm-hmm. And it will. So hopefully he'll stay healthy and he can have some big paydays and sock some money away and enjoy the run. But Nakamura is the most unique of the group because he is Japanese, and he does have a very unique look, and he's long and he's lean, and he has as much natural charisma as anybody in the business.
Right. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
he also speaks English,
Mm-hmm.
and he's also had MMA training. So I think, and he's a student of the game. He posed with pictures with me when I went there, and I recognized him. But somebody was saying that doesn't happen in WWE, does it, JR? Where you go to the locker room and the top one or two biggest star wants a photo with you.
Right.
No, as a matter of fact, it doesn't. But so it's kind of cool. The guy's a student of the business.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to. I don't think there'll be any issues with him adjusting or any of that stuff. I think he's going to do just fine, and I don't care what they name him. It's irrelevant to me. I understand why WWE wants to own the names as best they can, when they can. And it's not an exact science, but when they can do it, it makes sense. You can change somebody, and so I'm not worried about that. I got some tweets about that. Oh, Nakamura's name. I can't believe they're doing that. Well, it's not like he's a household word.
Right.
He's not The Rock.
Right.
But I love his work, and I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying a name tweak doesn't kill me with him because his fans are going to follow him anyway.
Yeah.
So but I'm not. I was not surprised. They were very interested in our very tuned in to our discussion about those guys last year, and looking at what they're doing with how they're loading up NXT and so forth. I thought, well, these guys might fit right into the plan. And then obviously, ironically, you got AJ debuting at the Royal Rumble, and Gallows and Anderson are still on the on-deck circle, and we know Nakamura is going to be part of the NXT takeover in Dallas. So it's good. I'm happy for those. It's good to reshuffle the deck of the roster. I think that's past due with virtually every promotion.
Right.
You can't go the same people in the same roles without changing things around them. If for example, John Cena is going to be the incumbent babyface in WWE till the cows come home, which is fine. But to make him relevant and more successful, and keep him successful, he's got to have different dancing partners that challenge him. He's got to have different opponents that stretches his creativity and his physicality, and that's how you keep stars fresh,
Right.
without changing their uniform.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Nakamura, he's just one of those guys you just can't take your eyes off him when you see him. I mean, he just all his movements and everything. So, yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see, when he's called up to the main roster, how long he'll be in NXT. But it's definitely an exciting acquisition. I know you blog a lot about WrestleMania and Roman Reigns, and you talk about it a lot on your podcast. This one, is expected to be one of the biggest of all time a year ago. And I mean, what are your thoughts on what appears to be the top matches on the card right now?
Well, it's very hard to judge matches today here in February that are not going to take place until April the 3rd. I don't know what the stories that are told between now and April the 3rd will go a long way in how well those matches are perceived. But I don't know. I don't have any issues that or any concerns that WWE is not going to do 100,000 plus fans at WrestleMania. I have. The stadium is an amazing attraction itself that nobody has written about. They overlook it because everybody had rather micromanage booking and role play what the finishes might be. And I find some of that to be absolutely it's comical. If you live in this part of the world, a lot of people that live in Texas and Oklahoma and the surrounding states have never been inside AT&T Stadium because they can't get tickets or they can't afford it. It's an amazing tourist attraction.
Yeah.
And that's why they have thousands upon thousands of fans that go there to watch high school football finals, because it lets fans get into the stadium. And so you've got an American Airlines hub at DFW. You got a Southwest Airlines hub at Love Field, and all that spells easy transportation to Dallas. You can virtually, on American, you can fly virtually anywhere in the world from there to Dallas, nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very accessible, and I think, and then you look at the geography of it, where the main thoroughfare, the highway, the interstate system. I-35 runs right through it, north and south, and I-20 runs right through it, east and west. It's just it's a lot of good geography in its favor. So and it's WrestleMania, man. It's not like it's we're gonna. I think sometimes those damn cards are overestimated. You really only need one or two great matches for people to say, man, that was a hell of a show. So how you close the show is the key thing, and I think you're going to get some matches that are going to over-deliver. I don't know how the card's going to be. I'm not for Strowman wrestling Undertaker or Lesnar at WrestleMania simply because I think he's being pushed too quickly. Mm-hmm. He's green. I understand he's a great kid. He's a great, big, impressive-looking athlete. And so with that said, there may be something there down the road that's a lot bigger than getting him in a match or hurrying him into a match this year. So if it is believed that he has great potential, then let that potential be developed without it being rushed. Mm-hmm. So I'm not a Braun Strowman hater at all. Right. Matter of fact, to the contrary, I think he's got lots of potential, and I just hate to see him rushed along. So I'm not overwhelmed with if Undertaker was going to wrestle Strowman, I need to be really convinced that was going to give him my money's worth. And Strowman's not having many matches on the road in singles. He should be wrestling a lot of singles. How's his cardio conditioning? How safe is he going to be? There's a lot of things to consider there. So I'm not sold on that one. But hey, if they can get it to April 3rd and it means something, then more power to them.
Yeah.
Triple H and Roman Reigns, there's a lot of good ideas that could happen there. I'd probably put Vince in Triple H's corner, and I'd probably put Rock in Reigns' corner, and then I'd have McMahon and Reigns screw Triple H and The Rock. And I go over that in depth, a nice little angle I fantasy booked. That's one of my talking points in my podcast this week with James Storm. It drops Tuesday night at 9 o'clock on Podcast One and in iTunes. Wow. I had an idea for an angle, so I had fun with that. What the hell? It's like following your favorite football team and you're calling plays.
Right.
Who's going to start? Things like that. It's a normal thing for us wrestling fans, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So we all book.
Yeah.
So what the heck? I'm not past the age of enjoying being creative.
Well, kind of on that same thought, then, being that this might be the Undertaker's last WrestleMania, I mean, you never know, it might not, but if it is, who would you book against the Undertaker that would be available? Like whether it's someone from NXT?
I can't believe that WWE and the Undertaker himself would want his last match to be promoted with a whisper. Therefore, I have absolutely no belief that this is the Undertaker's last WrestleMania, unless something happens imminently, and where it's late breaking news or this just in, press conference held, whatever, something big is made of it, because you cannot be a promoter of any repute and not to promote the Undertaker's last match with a lot of fanfare and being very loud and aggressive with that information. Mm-hmm. So therefore, I don't think it's Undertaker's last match. As far as this year, you need somebody that can. You got to look at the whole picture. A guy that could have a great match with the Undertaker would be somebody like Chris Jericho, for example. Very easy. Mm-hmm. Jericho can talk, Jericho can work, Jericho can bump, Jericho's will have a sound match. Jericho and Taker both are strong enough alpha males that they want to have a stronger impact on the show that perhaps people would perceive. So something like that, in a well-told story that makes some sense. and it might have something there. I don't know, but I thought if you wanted Undertaker to have another good match with somebody else, I suggested Luke Harper, because I think Luke Harper would be fundamentally sound and could have a good match. You've always got the threat of the Wyatts there to tip the scales in their favor as far as the odds are concerned. I mentioned that on Twitter, and then of course I get lambasted by a bunch of 14-year-olds that say they had that match last November. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And that's startling news. That's a revelation. You're a sage. You're a young savant wrestling booker. They had the match in November. I'll be damned. Well, that kills that idea, because I certainly want to have a match in April if you had November.
Right. Yeah.
But you got to pair up the talent. That's how Mick Foley got his job in WWE. Is I needed somebody to book with Undertaker on the road on the house shows, and I finally convinced McMahon to give Mick a shot, and we did, and he did. Thanks to Vince, we got Mick hired, and Undertaker was ecstatic because he had a partner on the road that he could have great matches with.
Yeah. So
you got to look at the skill set of the Undertaker and the skill set of the individual you're booking him with, and make sure that they mesh. And I think Jericho is chameleon-like. Jericho can be a babyface. Jericho can be a heel. Jericho can be a babyface, a villain. It can be all those things. He can do whatever. He's very, very talented, and he can talk, and he can tell. They can figure out a story. Whatever. But you want somebody that Undertaker can have a good match with at this stage of the game. But you're not going to retire. To me, the WWE I would almost throw my hands up and walk away if Undertaker was going to have a retirement and it was kept a secret.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody's going to say, I can guarantee you, somebody's going to say, well, Stone Cold did it at WrestleMania 19. He did. And in hindsight, it was a mistake.
Yeah. And do you think Austin not wrestling at Mania this year, once and for all, closes the door on people, speculating on a return match?
Oh, hell no. You kidding me?
I didn't think so, but I wanted to get your thoughts.
Oh, you kidding? They're going to say that every year until he's in a walker. They still want him to wrestle Hogan, and Hogan's got chronic back issues.
Right.
It's great. It's cool for those guys that keep getting the accolades, but it's just not going to happen. Yeah. And Steve is done. I mean, he's had every opportunity in the world to do matches after his WrestleMania 19 farewell, and he's moved on. Mm-hmm. And some people can't understand the act of moving on.
Right.
So, but no, it'll be that way forever. Hey, there's still. I had part of my idea with the McMahon and at WrestleMania has Vince in play, and he's 70 years old. So I don't know how smart I am. So that's the whole deal. You always retreat back to those ideas that you enjoyed, or you would like to live again one more time.
Yeah.
Well, it worked then, maybe it'll work now.
And it showed that he's still effective as a performer, because ratings jumped when he did the whole thing with Reigns in December. So
well, he's a star.
Yeah.
He's a star, and he's also, there is a great love of the WWE fan base for the Attitude Era. Mm-hmm. So many young adults or adults with young kids, when they were young, they were Attitude Era fans. The Attitude Era had an impact on them. And Mr. McMahon was a major character of that period.
Right.
And that's why Triple H gets a great babyface pop, is that he's remembered as one of the great stars of the greatest era in WWE history. Mm-hmm. And he had some amazing matches. Those matches with Foley and Shawn and Austin and Taker. I mean, he wrestled a who's who, and he did well by and large. So he's looked at as a major star from their favorite era.
Yeah. So
yeah, he's going to be a babyface, and it's going to be very hard for him to cut a promo. The promo that Hunter cut after the Royal Rumble was a Attitude Era promo. Mm-hmm. Was it a babyface promo or a heel promo? or was it a star promo with attitude?
Right.
So
Yeah.
people can judge that for themselves. But I think he'll always be a heel, or babyface rather, excuse me, and to this clientele, and I don't see anything wrong with that. I think he's earned that distinction, and the bottom line is that the consumer speaks their mind.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's being cheered, there's a reason he's being cheered. For whatever the reasons are, you should respect, and they're good enough.
Yeah, we do a podcast every Monday night with Vince Russo after Raw, and one of the things that gets brought up a lot is that the Authority versus the top babyface has been happening on and off for almost 20 years now. Do you think that's and it doesn't seem as effective as when it was done with Austin and McMahon? You think there's still legs in that storyline, or is that something that probably needs to be put in the past?
I think that the Authority figure angle could be less prominent and more effective. I think seeing it less and it makes it more special. But I agree that it's been around for close to 2 decades and probably needs a little bit of a rest. And the other thing is that it's hard for all the Raw GMs and all the things that we had over the years. It's very, very challenging for anybody to out Mr. McMahon better than Mr. McMahon.
Yeah.
And if he weren't around, which I'm not advocating, then that'd be one thing. But everybody knows he's still present.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to cast around that character in that same role.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that I'm not saying it needs to erase it and go away permanently or full time more specifically. I just probably would say if I were in the chair of doing that, I would say probably it might not be a bad idea to see it less, so the impact is still significant and impactful.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how I would look at it. But the points are well made by Russo that it has been around a long time. And the issue is just this: is that how do you outcast Austin and McMahon?
You can't.
So you need to tweak it and make it different. If you're still going to have the hero that's being pressured by the establishment, can you present it a little bit differently than how it's being done, so that one, Reigns is not compared to Austin, which is not fair to Reigns,
mm-hmm.
and two, the Authority figure thing is, when Vince came out as the Authority figure, he was jeered pretty much universally.
Mm-hmm.
People did not like him, and the only people that would cheer for him were a small pocket of 18 to 34s who just wanted to be defiant, be different.
Right.
They didn't have any reason for cheering him. They just thought they'd be different.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's cool, let's say. Well, he's cool, man. Okay, so he's cool. So you're gonna cheer for him real loud, so that people will see you're the only ones cheering for Mr. McMahon. So the attention will come to you a little bit. I get it.
Yeah.
But now Hunter gets cheered a lot. Stephanie is the best, probably the best true villain in the company. But she's so good at what she does and the audience is kind of swayed this way in general, that when they see something they like, even somebody playing a good villain, they applaud it.
Mm-hmm.
Strange chemistry these days. But I'd say, yeah, give the role a rest, but don't erase it totally, but let it be a reoccurring thing. But when it does reoccur, it has significance, and I think you might be better off in the long haul and freshen things up a little bit in that respect.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about Sting being inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame, because he's obviously someone you go way back with. What were your thoughts when you saw Sting for the first time?
Well, Bill Watts and I both thought he was going to be, Red Bastien was very high on Sting, and Hellwig, and Red Bastien, God bless him, was a great friend of Bill's, former tag partner. So, but they went in to work for Crockett or Jerry Jarrett, and then they didn't stay long. Then they came to our spot in Mid-South. It was kind of a whirlwind thing because then Hellwig, we thought that the Blade Runners would be our version of the Road Warriors. Mm-hmm. That was the goal. Hellwig, unfortunately, didn't stay long. He did not agree philosophically with the Big Cowboy. Mm-hmm. And so he was relieved of his post, and he ended up just down the road down in Dallas. And Gary Hart took him under his wing, and you know, it was a good move for us, and it was a good move for Hellwig and Warrior, and a good move for Dallas. It was a win-win-win for everybody. Mm-hmm. So, but Sting then was standing on his own, and he had almost had a perpetual light around him. He radiated that he was going to be a star. It was just the it factor, the it thing, that you didn't know exactly why your eyes were on him, but he was the guy that you were not going to, you wanted to see more of. And he was a good professional. He was always on time and never an issue. Worked hard. Very athletic. Had great leaping ability. Had great vertical leap. Great physique, obviously. Young, good-looking kid. So Bill and I didn't see anything that was going to prevent him from being a star. I think putting him with Eddie Gilbert, and then Rick Steiner was in that group too, was good, because even though Steiner and Sting were both young guys and were green, Eddie had been around the business all his life and had, you know, multiple territory experience, and so he was kind of a good mentor to those big young guys. So that was good for us to be able to do that. It helped us, and it helped us more than probably thought, because Rick took those guys under his wing. And then I think there's somewhere along the way Murdoch got involved in that a little bit somehow. I'm not sure, but he was always impressive. He looked good. He spoke well. He was intelligent. He had character, and I thought he was going to be. We all thought he was going to be something special. It just was a matter, when will the lights finally all go on, and when will he get his shot? And of course, you know, then the Watts. You know, we sold the UWF to Crockett, and of all the wrestlers that went into that transaction, I would say by far Sting was the one that had the most longevity and the most success after that buyout.
Right. And you called that Clash of Champions in 1988, right, where he wrestled Ric Flair?
Yep.
What was? I mean, that was like a star-making performance, and still, I mean, it drew a 5.6 rating. I mean, it was gigantic. What do you remember of that match?
Well, I'll tell you, it was a star-making moment for a lot of people, because I had never done a live broadcast on TBS before. There had not been a live primetime broadcast on TBS before. Mm-hmm. You know, the landscape. I think it was Clash was against the WWE pay-per-view.
Yeah, WrestleMania. I believe that was WrestleMania 5.
So there was a lot of tension in that regard, and a lot of little angst and competitiveness. But I'd never been in Charlotte, Greensboro before. That was the home of the ACC basketball championship. I'd never been in that arena, and I knew the arena was famous for all kinds of great nights of action through the Jim Crockett promotions. So it was all new. It was a lot of new, and but you know, you had that sense of team pride that one of your guys, Sting, in this point, this illustration, was in the main event. Mm-hmm. And other than us outbooking ourselves with those judges, which is somewhat ridiculous, I thought the night was very successful.
Yeah. And
of course, that match, people have often said, well, all Sting had to do was follow Flair. You know, well, that's true in the sense that you would follow Rick because he's the heel, he's calling the match, and you know, he's the champion, and he's the incumbent, and he's the, you know, all the good stuff. Mm-hmm. But you still got to be able to do it. You still got to be able to follow. You still got to be able to execute what the heel wants you to do. and do it in a big league way. And Sting was able to do that. So I've always thought that, even though I have great respect for Rick, and Rick has made all kinds of guys better that he's worked with, including Sting. Mm-hmm. But still, you've got to be able to, you got to have something in your toolbox to keep up with Flair. And Sting had plenty in his toolbox, and I thought did a terrific job that night. And it really put him on the map. And for that, you're proud. You're proud to see one of your alumnus, one of your guys from your old school, so to speak, do well.
Mm-hmm. Do you have like 10 more minutes? I just had a couple more questions.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay. With Sting, assuming if he can get back to 100%, would you want to see him wrestle again, or do you think that the match with Seth Rollins probably should be his last?
I think I don't know that medical. See, that's the thing about it. It's kind of frustrating sometimes, and I understand why you asked that question. I'm not upset with you, obviously, but it goes along kind of part and parcel with the Daniel Bryan issues. Mm-hmm. I don't know if any fan that's bitching loud and long about Daniel Bryan has actually looked at his medical records,
right? Or
they're a neurologist, or some other sort of medical specialist, and neither am I. Mm-hmm. All I know is that if you've never sat in a chair to where you've got to make decisions, or you got to look at family members, or you got to do things that are very uncomfortable because someone is injured, then you look at this matter and maybe differently than a lot of fans who just think that the WWE has some sort of ridiculous conspiracy theory to keep Daniel Bryan from wrestling, which absolutely, if you think about it, makes zero sense. There's no plausibility. There's no motive. There's no reason. It's insanity. But the other side of that is, until your team doctor that you have put your faith in, and all your medical issues, until that doctor says this guy's good to go, how do you defy your own team doctor, overrule him, and put the guy back in the ring? I don't know how you do that.
Right.
So, and I don't know all the machinations of Daniel Bryan's diagnosis, but I can tell you that there's no way in hell that WWE would want him to sit on the sideline if he was able to get back in the ring. And if they could do that, I'm sure that he would be going, because wouldn't you think that right now they could really use Daniel Bryan in this WrestleMania run? Of course they could.
Right.
But so the same thing with Sting. I don't know how badly his neck is injured, but I understand that he has stenosis, and the narrowing of the spinal cord thing, the covering of the cord. I don't know that it would make any sense, because of the discovering the stenosis, that he'll ever be able to wrestle again safely. Mm-hmm. And if he can't wrestle safely at his stage of the game, then why would you even consider him? How much do we gain if he has one more match?
Right.
One more match. Oh, it's a magic moment. One more match. No, I know he could be crippled. Oh, I know he could be hurt, but I'd just love to see that one more match. Really? Are you an idiot? I mean, seriously.
Right.
Think about it. So based on what I know, which is not everything, and I'm not a doctor, never played one on TV, I would say, based on what I know, that if he has stenosis and he's had all this wear and tear on his body for, 30-plus years? Mm-hmm. Pretty damn long career, I'd say.
Right.
My vote would be no. Mm-hmm. Let's do other things with Sting. Sting can be so much positive name identity that he could be integral in WWE promotions and PR and on the network and all kinds of things. He's very glib, and he's got good timing, and he's a good conversationalist. I don't know why he couldn't work on the network at certain things. Mm-hmm. So I would say I'd pass on the last match. And I can tell you that for the fans that think he has not had the quote-unquote run that he needed in WWE, they are infinitely more concerned about it than he is.
Right.
He is objective. He understands what pro wrestling is, and it's not the NFL. It's closer to Broadway than the National Football League.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask you about the Ringside with Jim Ross shows during WrestleMania weekend, but real quick, do you have a quick prediction for Conor McGregor and Rafael Dos Anjos, since I know you're a big UFC fan?
Oh, man, I think it's going to be a lot more of a war than people think, and I think you've got a legitimate out with if McGregor loses, because he's moved up a weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to kind of go against the grain and pick the Brazilian gentleman.
And Dana White's talking about putting CM Punk's debut at UFC 199 a month before UFC 200. Would you rather see that at UFC 200, or you think it's...
Don't need it. Not if I'm the promoter, I won't.
Yeah.
200, I got plenty for 200.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I want him to get lost in the 200 card?
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't I put him on the 199 card? I need more sizzle and more something, and another marketable match, and where he won't be lost on the card. Mm-hmm. So absolutely not. I think 199 is perfect for him. I don't think he's needed for 200 because he'll get a lot of publicity if he's on a card that he can have some exclusivity. If he's a part of a huge ensemble cast with many stars on 200 bigger than he, then he gets lost in the shuffle. So I like 199.
One more quick pick this Sunday Super Bowl. You got a favorite in that?
Well, I am like many. I believe that Carolina has a better team. They're hotter.
Mm-hmm.
They have the hottest player in the league at quarterback, which is always nice. So I know all the money's going on Carolina. Everybody's betting Carolina. I'd like to, if I was going to play it, I'd probably play Denver and take the points, just playing for the upset and playing for the hopefully that Peyton Manning wins the game, retires, and so many Americans stop naming their female and male children Peyton. Make me very happy. So I'm going to go take the underdog and the points in the Denver Broncos on Sunday, even though I do believe Carolina will win the game.
Yeah. And you're also back WrestleMania weekend, Ringside with Jim Ross. You got a show Saturday afternoon, another one after the Hall of Fame, and a third that Monday after Raw. What can fans expect from those shows?
Uproarious hilarity, compelling dialogue, life-changing experiences, tears, sobbing, writhing on the floor in pain, agony, and ecstasy, and hopefully a lot of fun. My guests and I will tell some stories. We'll get right into the Q&As. The Q&As are unfiltered and uncensored. We'll have a host that will be working the floor, working the room with a wireless mic. We'll take your questions, and then my guest of the show and I will do our best to entertainingly and honestly answer the questions. It should be fun because you never know. The audience is going to be very eclectic because they're going to be from all over the world, so the questions are going to range as is the geography. So to me, it's the most fun part of all the shows that I do is when I get to the Q&A section. So we're gonna kick it off, bat around a couple of stories, then go right into the Q&A and have some fun there. So the show is the first show is from 4 to 6 on Saturday before the Hall of Fame, and we picked the House of Blues because it was a classy building. They had a lot of great acts play there. It's got some room. Good food, plenty of beverages, but the most important element is 8-minute walk to the American Airlines Center, where the Hall of Fame, and the House and Monday Night Raw will take place. So you're right there. We're right there. So after the Hall of Fame, it's an 8-minute walk back. We'll do another show on about 11, and with another guest, and then I will have a final show, as you mentioned, Well, sure, it should be kind of fun. I thought about this. My business team thought I was crazy, and I may be, that, well, 2 shows is enough, you know. So I said, I got an idea for a third show and do it on Monday. And let's do it after Raw, because that Raw crowd is very, very raucous. They have a lot of fun. They enjoy the American beer, and they're enjoying themselves because it's their last night for many of them in the States. Mm-hmm. They're flying home on Tuesday. So I thought, why don't we squeeze one more thing in, and that would be our show at the House of Blues after Raw, and so that all those tickets are doing well. The Monday night show is doing the best. So I'm not telling anybody in a knee-jerk deal, like I'm having a telethon here, that you got to hurry, go buy your tickets, hurry, hurry, hurry. I will tell you that all 3 shows are trending to sell out long before the event, and that tickets are still available, but they're not going to last forever. There's only a certain amount of tickets we have, and once they're gone, they're gone. So I encourage folks to check out Ticketmaster, and trying to be fan friendly with our location and the fact that we're charging we have a $20 ticket, so we think $20 is a great value to get in and enjoy our show and do some shopping. And I want to bring some TSA friendly JR's products like seasoning and jerky and things like that. And for those that are not flying, I'll have some sauces and mustard and ketchup, some fun stuff. So it'll be good. It's going to be fun being there, and I hope that we fill it up and we have a lot of fun. I know a lot of the wrestling community are contacting me for tickets and wanting to come. So you never know who you're going to see there. So it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun.
Well, thanks again, JR. I plan on going to one of those shows. I went to one during WrestleMania 30 weekend, and it was a blast. So I definitely urge everyone to check it out. And thank you again. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on, and keep up the good work.